What's going on, guys? My name's Chaos Pro, and today we got the long-awaited Marvel Snap March update. What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And so we are going to be going ahead and getting into the awesome March update. But before we get into all of this good stuff, if I can, please like, subscribe, don't forget to follow. I work really hard to make content for you daily, and a little goes a long way, and it'd be much appreciated if you guys could do those things. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the March update. So we're going to be going over a couple things here. We're going to be going over the brand new features, the art and visual effects. We're going to be going over some of the card buffs and reworks and changes. And we're going to be going over just a couple of the simple new things, and talk about the locations and whatnot, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and start it off with the features. Brand new feature is going to be getting added to the game. Graveyards. Graveyards are going to be getting added. This has been long awaited and talked about for some time. They are finally adding graveyards to the game. This is great. If you weren't paying attention in your matches, and say, for instance, a Yandu or something of the sort destroys something, you now have the ability to see what has been destroyed or discarded. And this is awesome, because now you can now see things that, like Wolverine, Sabretooth, Deadpool, those are not going to appear when they have been destroyed, but other things are. And I think this is great. This is awesome. I'm just so happy to see this. And yeah, I think this is a great step in the right direction. Next on the list is going to be the brand new feature, Undo End Turn. Basically, they're going to be adding this into the game, and this is so great because I can't tell you how often I want to redo my turn because I realized I did something in the wrong priority. I definitely am a victim of this, where I want to go back and change it. And so you will be able to do this as long as your opponent hasn't ended their turn. You can go back to this staging step. This is great. I mean, now you'll have the ability to kind of go back and redo your priorities. So in case that, for instance, you wanted to do a turn into a Iron Man, you now have the ability to go back so that you can do that preemptive, Mystique next turn, so that it doesn't ruin that priority. Next on the list is the long but absolutely anticipated custom borders. Bravo to Second Dinner. Bravo to these guys. Phenomenal, awesome. They are adding custom borders to the game. This is now. You are now going to get to show off those awesome custom effects and the cards and all of that good stuff. I'm just really happy that they're finally adding this. This is a right step in the right direction for the community to show off those awesome customized cards. There are going to be some other additional things in this. Basically, the gold pass. This is going to be a new type of feature. Basically, all it reads here is that looking for some extra gold throughout the season, purchasing a gold pass will give an additional recharge of gold and then additional amounts of gold every day for the next 30 days. This is great. I mean, this is a nice thing that if you want to spend that, extra little money, if you can afford it, it's like kind of like a game pass to some degree. This is going to give you some extra spending. I'm sure for a good discounted price. I think this is great. This is awesome. And yeah. So next on the list we're going to be talking about is the art and visual effects. This basically are some cards getting some visual and audio fixes and changes. Deadpool, Psylocke, Legion, Darkhawk, and Moongirl basically getting some changes to them. So that's kind of cool. I think that's great. I don't necessarily, notice these types of things all the time in games, but that's awesome. Next on the list we're going to be talking about is the card balances. First on the list is going to be Elsa Bloodstone, going from an old 2/3. After you play a card here, give it +2 if your side is full. And it's going to be getting reverted back to its original effect, but with a different cost, to a 3/3. Each card you play to fill your side of a location gains +2 power. This is awesome. I mean, this is something that people have been wanting for a while. They've been asking for it, and I know that they wanted to revert this back. People felt that after her original change, you know, she didn't really see much play, but I think this is the right step in the right direction. I think this is great. I used to really like running her in, you know, Cerebro 2s. It doesn't seem like we're going to be able to get to do that anymore, but I think that this is a right thing in the right direction. I think this is phenomenal. Next on the list is going to be Meek. Meek is going to be getting a slight change to her text with a little bit of a rework. This is kind of awesome. After her old effect was after each turn, if you discarded one or more cards, gain that much power and move. Now her new ability will be when you discard a card, this gains +1 power and can move next turn. The difference is that now I believe you'll be able to control her move after each turn, and that's really awesome. Keep in mind that there won't be at the end of the turn anymore. So on those last turns, you do need to put her in the position you want her to be in. But this is great because now she'll be able to gain that power, and she'll be able to get it instantly when you discard, kind of like how Morbius does. But on the next turn, you can move her. You can basically preemptively select where you want her to go. I guess in some of the testings with her, she was just kind of, you know, feeling like she would put herself in positions you didn't want her to be in, and it kind of felt bad. So now you can move her. That's kind of a big win. So if I'm reading that correctly, that's pretty awesome. Next on our list is Mantis. Mantis will be going from an 2/3 on reveal. If your opponent played any cards here this turn, draw a card from their deck. Now she will be a 2/2 on reveal. If your opponent played any cards here this turn, copy one of them into your hand. This is kind of a big one because you no longer will be taking from your opponent's deck, and you will basically be getting, you have to predict where they're going to play, and you can add that back to your hand as a copy. Next on the list is going to be Cable. Cable will be going back from a 3/4 to a 2/3. On reveal, draw a card from your opponent's deck. This is kind of the right, I think, change. Cable, I don't think, was seeing a whole lot of change, but with Mantis changing to no longer copy their opponent's deck, that creates more room for Cable to move back down to a 2 cost with a buff from his original 2/2. That's awesome. I think this is great. This is great because now they'll still be kind of both played in their right, you know, sense, but Cable is now going to be going back to a 2/2. So it'll be nice to see him going back to that. I know I personally will be really happy to see this because I have a Cable variant, I believe, which is an ultimate variant that I don't really ever get to use anymore. I don't really like using him. He doesn't feel good. And yeah. Next one on our list is going to be Time Stone. Time Stone is going to be taking a massive hit in a very different direction. Time Stone is going to be going from an on reveal +1 energy next turn, draw a card, to on reveal, draw a card and give it -1 cost. Although you are able to still get a card in a ramp up scenario, you are no longer going to choose the card that you'll be able to essentially play out with a +1 energy, and it will essentially give something in hopes of giving it a giving it a -1 cost, allowing, say for instance, turn 5s or turn 6 cards if drawn, giving those -1, giving them to play for a much earlier presence. This is a very interesting concept because I don't necessarily know if this is going to be a bad thing, but it definitely makes it so that you are no longer going to be able to ramp out for cards in your hand. So I do think that this is probably this is probably really good in the end. And I'm kind of happy to see this because Thanos has just been an absolute good card for some time, and it's become such a ramp deck in its own right. And so yeah. Next on the list is going to be Baku. Baku is going to be going from a 1/2. If this is in your deck at the end of the game, it jumps out to a location. Now he is going to be getting a awesome little buff where he now goes from a 1-2 at the end of the game. This jumps from your deck to your lowest powered location that isn't full. This is a right direction for the card, I think, especially for Cerebro 2. This card just never sees, and he's kind of a meme card in general, and I guess they wanted to give him some kind of text that fit well more in the lines of Proxima Midnight, stuff like that. I think this is great. This is awesome. I love to see it. More play for more Baku, and yeah, I mean, it does suck though that if this jumps into a bar with no name, that's going to be pretty bad. But other than that, this is, I think, the right type of thing that he needed. I would have liked to see still go from your hand, but it's okay. He's not gonna have that. Next on the list is going to be Yandu. Yandu is now going to be going from a 1-2 on reveal, destroy the top card of your opponent's deck, to now destroy the lowest cost card in your opponent's deck. This is kind of a big win, because this will, for me at least, this is a big win because this no longer will feed Null and getting those big, juicy cards really early on. Essentially, you're just going to use it, and if you get something, good, that's awesome. But preventively, this is going to take away from your opponent's early game if possible. All right, next on our list is Leech. Leech is going to be going and getting a rework kind of to how he used to be. This one's kind of controversial because Leech for a long time has been a very, very, very annoyance card for a lot of people. But there is some good things to this and some pretty interesting things and some negative things to it. Leech is going to be he's going to be staying a 5/3 throughout everything. He's going to have his old effect go from an at the start of turn 6, remove all abilities from cards in your opponent's hand, to now his new ability is going to be an on reveal, remove the text from each card with an on reveal ability in your opponent's hand. Keep in mind, this does not affect ongoing or normal text-based cards, but it will interfere with cards that have two effects, such as ongoing and on reveal. If it has an on reveal in its hand or in its effect, it will still remove the ongoing effect to it, as it is kind of a one package deal. Keep in mind, for instance, and I'm going to give you some scenarios here, in a, say for instance, a destroy deck, if you are essentially using a Leech against destroy, it will not affect the death or null, but it will affect all of the on reveal cards that preemptively help on reveal cards in general. So like for instance, cards like Venom, cards like, Nico, or, Killmonger, they will have their abilities removed. Thus, it does somewhat hurt the other cards. You most likely will see some cards like ramping into this, so we'll see how this goes. I do think that Leech is going to become probably more meta at anything. I know personally, I've never been a fan of Leech, but I will use this card a lot more often now to get rid of Shang-Chi's pesky cards like, Alaya, things like that, and in general, things that I already just don't enjoy playing up against. I most likely will be using something like this. So this is going to be very controversial. I might get a little hate for playing this card, but at the same time, it's a take world when it comes to this game. There's a community divided for certain cards, and there's another side of the community that likes these certain cards. You kind of have to pick your side. I don't know if this is healthy for the game. I don't know. I really think this might not be super healthy. I don't know. I can't really make an opinion on it until I start playing around with it. But this is going to be a very talked about one for the ages. And so next on the list, and last but not least, we're going to be just talking about locations. Some of the locations, such as ones essentially that come up more than often. I guess there's just a patch notes about here that they are going to be making them a lot less prevalent when seen in the game. And there's a long list. There's Camp Lehigh, Collapse Mines, Great Portal, Hotel Infernal, Shuri's Lab, Lamentus, Nor Dimension, Rickety Bridge, Superflow, the Obby, and Valley of the Hand are going to see a lot less in the rotations to give other decks slightly more of an advantage. I guess they felt that Destroy was, you know, in some ways or form benefiting from certain things, and adding cards to the hand were just a bit too much. So they wanted to kind of lessen that so that it would make a more variety for other decks to be more prevalent. I think this is great. I've actually been saying this for a while, that cards, archetypes that unintentionally get benefit from it other than, you know, than others. Like for instance, Destroy just kind of, there's never really a bad location for Destroy as much as other locations for other decks, you know, but for the most part, I think this is great. I'd like to see this, you know, less bad locations is always good, more viability for a lot of other things. And yeah. With that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It's been a really fun, real one. I'm really happy to see how this is going to play in the upcoming weeks. But yeah, if you guys can, you know, don't forget to tune in when I stream, and let's have a good one. Until the next time, guys, peace. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you guys can, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.